Welcome to the Revenue Growth Help Desk. I'm Melissa Valdez, Director of Client Engagement. Today we have a very special guest, my esteemed colleague, Malorie Feidner, one of SBI's account segmentation experts and self-proclaimed data junkie. We will be discussing how you can take your account segmentation to the next level. So, Malorie, thank you so much for being here. To start us off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your role at SBI and your high-level overview of account segmentation and why it is so important?
Absolutely, Melissa. I'm happy to be here. My role at SBI is a senior consultant, and account segmentation is one of my areas of expertise. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about account segmentation, but as a high-level overview, account segmentation is essentially dividing your customers and prospects into groups based on a set of attributes and a measurement of their value to your company. From my perspective, it is the single most important thing your organization can do to get yourselves unified around your corporate strategy. Your customers are the heart of your business, and how you segment them impacts every part of the customer journey, from marketing to prospecting, sales, customer success, and beyond.
How do you take your account segmentation from good to great?
So generally speaking, if you had several classifications of accounts that are covered by different roles with skill profiles that align to the segment that they're covering, you're on the right track. A common example of this is having strategic or key accounts that are covered by your best sellers. Another example is separating your accounts by product or industry vertical and aligning your sales roles based on relevant skills. So if you do some type of classification and you apply it consistently, meaning you don't mix and match these categories, then you're in pretty good shape. If you go back and revisit these categories at least once a year and make sure that they're still aligned to your org structure and corporate goals, that's even better.
Yeah, this has definitely been a hot topic in SBI's recent client advisory boards, both at the CEO level and the sales leader level. This is something that we are continuously talking about right now, even post-pandemic, certainly with alignment of your best sellers and their skills to where your customer is at in their journey.
Yeah, and it's pretty easy actually to implement a good segmentation. And a great segmentation isn't more difficult to implement, it just requires more discipline and more collaboration. So a great segmentation has three elements. They're classification, quantification, and prioritization.
So Mel, why don't you dive a little bit deeper into those three elements for us?
So classification is how you categorize your accounts and start to think about who should cover them. So I touched on classification a little bit with the example of a good segmentation, but oftentimes I see an organization stop there and call it good. In my opinion, classification is just not enough on its own. For example, let's say that you segment your customers by industry vertical. Does that mean that your data supports the idea that customers in different industries make different purchasing decisions, or that they should be served differently? Sometimes the answer is no, but industry is used often because it's fairly straightforward. Another example is segmenting your customers into strategic and mid-market accounts based on somewhat arbitrary thresholds. This is why classification alone isn't enough. You really need the other two elements in order to guide your decision making.
Absolutely. It's like baking chocolate chip cookies. You wouldn't just use chocolate chips to bake the cookie, right? You need all the other ingredients. What about quantification?
So the second element is quantification, which is how you measure the value of the account to your organization. So quantification is where we attach a dollar value to each account. It's so important because when you're making decisions down the road, you want to know exactly how your different options are going to impact your bottom line. The metric I would recommend using is a measurement of spend potential, or how much we think an account could spend with your company over a given time period. This is different than actual bookings or revenue with your company, and it's predictive, or a frontier measure. This means that we can use this metric to quantify both customers and prospects. So while spend potential is my recommendation, I have seen other metrics used to quantify account value. This is usually fine as long as it is applied consistently.
Yes, definitely. And without getting too detailed, we talk about going into the different buying centers within one account. So that may be for the next episode, right? And what about the third, prioritization?
Yeah, so the third element is prioritization, which is where you shuffle the deck of accounts to put the best ones at the top. The way this is done is looking at your ideal customer profile and scoring your customers and prospects based on attributes that impact how they might interact with your business. Common attributes are company size, location, industry, growth rate, and other factors that are specifically related to your products or business model. What you end up with is a ranking of your customers and prospects, which you then circle back to help inform your categorization. You can also provide it to your sales team to inform their account planning. You may decide to translate the numerical score into a grade like A, B, or C, or a tier system like platinum, gold, or silver, but ultimately that step is up to you.
So what are some of the common mistakes you're seeing organizations making when it comes to account segmentation?
Yeah, the number one mistake that I see is not having a clear vision of your ideal customer profile. I find that many organizations have conflicting ideas of what makes an ideal customer, and some haven't even defined it at all. So when we do an account segmentation exercise, the first thing we do is look at what your data is telling us and match that up against qualitative feedback from your leadership, your sellers, and your customers. This allows us to get the full story, and we can draw a complete and accurate picture of what your ideal customer looks like. Another challenge we often see is the lack of data governance and data enrichment. This one's near and dear to my heart. Data governance is a pretty big deal because you need a single clean list of your customers and prospects. Often we'll see reps accidentally creating duplicate accounts or mismapping parent-child relationships. Data enrichment is also important when it comes to prioritizing customers. Sometimes your data limits you on what attributes you can use to score and prioritize your customers. In cases like this, I usually recommend a third-party data source like Dun & Bradstreet to really fill out the profile on your customers and prospects.
Malorie, thanks for taking the time to review that high-level overview of account segmentation. And just to recap the conversation, the top 3 takeaways are, number 1, implementing a foolproof classification process across a variety of categories. Second, more importantly, using this detailed classification in conjunction with quantification and prioritization can really take your account segmentation to the next level. And finally, the importance of having a complete understanding of your ideal customer profile and data governance. You can't do anything without having clean data and an ICP and then taking that data and actioning it. So thank you, Malorie, for taking the time to be here. As always, we at SBI wish you the best as you try and make your number.